Ever pictured yourself leading the charge, but instead of a fire hose, you've got a whole fire department behind you?
Intriguing.
We're diving deep into the world of fire commissioners today.
Sounds like a hot topic, literally.
And let me tell you, it's way more than what those recruitment posters let on.
Really. What's got you so fired up about it?
Well, we dug into these RoleCatcher guides, and they really paint a different picture.
Okay, you've got my attention. What are we talking about here?
It's not just about bravery and knowing how to handle a blaze.
Right, there's got to be more to it than that.
Exactly. RoleCatcher dives into the unexpected skills needed to thrive in this role. Stuff you might not expect.
Oh, like what? Spill the tea?
Active listening is a big one.
Active listening. For a fire commissioner.
Yeah, think about it. You're leading a team of first responders, each with their own experiences, their own perspectives.
Makes sense you'd want to hear them out.
Plus, you've got community members, some scared, some angry, all looking to you for answers.
That's a lot of different voices to listen to.
And being able to really listen, truly understand those different viewpoints, that's crucial for a fire commissioner.
It's that human element, isn't it? Not just battling the flames, but navigating the emotions and needs of everyone involved.
You hit the nail on the head.
What else? What other unexpected skills are we talking about?
Well, there's critical thinking.
Okay, that makes sense, but how so?
It's not just about following procedures, it's about making split-second decisions in those high-pressure situations.
And I bet those decisions aren't always easy. Limited resources, unpredictable dangers, you're under public scrutiny.
Yeah.
Talk about pressure.
It's a lot to juggle.
So how does RoleCatcher tackle this?
They actually do a great job of laying out the pros and cons to give a more realistic picture. You know, we all know the job is dangerous.
Of course, it comes with the territory.
But what about those downsides they don't put on the recruitment posters?
Right, because nobody joins up for those.
They highlight the emotional toll, the long and irregular hours, the constant stress. It really takes a toll.
Yeah, it can't be easy to switch off after a tough day.
It's not just about putting yourself in harm's way. It's the mental and emotional resilience this job demands.
So it's not just a physical challenge, it's an emotional one too.
Exactly.
But I imagine with those challenges comes some pretty incredible rewards too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The guide really emphasizes that sense of purpose, the community service aspect, the chance to make a real difference in people's lives, not to mention the job stability.
Yeah, that's a big plus these days.
People will always need firefighters.
True that. So let's say someone's listening and thinking, okay, the good and the bad, I'm up for it. What's next? What does the path to becoming a fire commissioner actually look like?
Well, you don't just jump into the fancy hat and start calling the shots.
So no shortcuts.
No shortcuts. RoleCatcher breaks down the career ladder beautifully, and it all starts with understanding the foundation, the firefighter.
Right, those brave individuals on the front lines.
Exactly. So we're picturing ourselves fresh out of the academy here. What are we doing?
All right, let's do it.
You're responding to those emergency calls, battling blazes, conducting those search and rescue operations.
Feels pretty intense.
It's physically and mentally demanding, but even at this early stage, the guide emphasizes it's not just about physical strength.
Oh, what else is there?
They highlight the importance of meticulous equipment checks, a real dedication to ongoing training.
Attention to detail, even under pressure, that's huge.
It is. Remember, even as a rookie, a small mistake could have major consequences.
High stakes from day one.
Absolutely. So you've proven yourself as a firefighter. What's next on this climb up the ranks?
Time to move up in the world.
The next rung on the ladder is lieutenant.
All right, Lieutenant, sounds good to me.
Now you're not just responding to emergencies, you're starting to lead the response.
Oh, wow, that's a big step up.
Think supervising a team of firefighters, making sure everyone stays safe, follows protocol.
All while chaos is unfolding around you.
Even in the chaos of a fire.
Sounds like a crash course in leadership under pressure. I can only imagine the decision-making skills this level requires.
RoleCatcher really highlights how important clear communication becomes at this stage. You're coordinating with other departments, managing resources, and ensuring the safety of your team, all while a fire's raging.
Talk about a high-stakes environment.
What happens as you continue to move up the ranks? Tell me more about becoming a captain.
All right, Captain, I like the sound of that.
Picture this. You are now responsible for the day-to-day operations of an entire fire station.
Wow. The buck stops there.
You're managing budgets, ensuring compliance with all those safety regulations. probably dealing with some paperwork too.
And I bet a whole lot of responsibility.
It's a big step up from just handling the hoses, that's for sure. What kind of skills do you need to thrive as a captain?
What does it take to wear that hat?
This is where those leadership and management skills really come into play. You're not just managing people, but resources, budgets, and making sure your station runs like a well-oiled and safe machine. It's a demanding but rewarding role, for sure.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But of course, the climb doesn't stop there.
This is where we get to the top, the fire chief.
Now, that's a title that carries some weight.
The fire chief is the one responsible for the entire department, overseeing everything from fire prevention programs to emergency response strategies. We're talking strategic thinking, big picture vision, and the ability to advocate for the department's needs within the community.
Sounds like a whole other level of leadership.
Wow, fire chief. That's a title that carries some serious weight. You're not just managing fighter fighters anymore.
That's right. The stakes get even higher.
You're shaping public safety for the entire community. It's amazing how this career path takes you from hands-on action to strategic leadership.
It really is a fascinating progression. And,
Yeah.
it requires a surprising breadth of knowledge.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, RoleCatcher points out that it's not just about having a degree in fire science or emergency management.
Okay, those make sense. But what else?
While those are valuable, they also recommend looking into fields like public administration,
Yeah.
even psychology.
Hold on, psychology. That doesn't seem like something you'd usually associate with firefighting.
It might seem strange at first.
What's the connection there?
Well, think about it. A fire commissioner is dealing with people under extreme stress, both their team and the public.
That's true. They see a lot of difficult situations.
Right, so understanding group dynamics, leadership styles, even how trauma can impact behavior, that's all psychology.
Ah, so it adds a whole other layer to their leadership toolkit.
Precisely. It's about understanding people just as much as it is about understanding fire.
It makes you realize how much goes on behind the scenes that we never even think about.
Definitely, there's more to it than meets the eye.
It's not just about putting out fires. It's about understanding the human impact and leading with empathy.
Absolutely. And speaking of unexpected connections, RoleCatcher also emphasizes the importance of continuous learning throughout your entire career as a fire commissioner.
That makes sense. Regulations change, new technologies emerge. You can't exactly rest on your laurels when public safety is at stake.
Exactly. It's an ever-evolving field.
What kind of continuous learning are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, they highlight the importance of staying up to date on the latest fire codes and regulations.
Right, because those are constantly evolving.
Exactly. But it goes beyond that.
Oh, in what way?
They actually recommend specific certifications that can boost your expertise and credibility.
Oh, yeah, they had quite a list. I remember seeing firefighter I and II, then more specialized ones like fire officer, fire inspector, hazardous materials technician.
You've got a good memory. And don't forget about certifications like EMT, or those focusing on incident command systems.
Incident command systems.
Yeah.
For those of us who aren't firefighters, can you unpack that a little?
Sure. Incident Command Systems, or ICS, provides a standardized framework for managing emergencies.
Okay, so it's about bringing order to chaos.
Exactly. It helps ensure clear communication, define roles and responsibilities, and efficient coordination, even when multiple agencies are involved.
Ah, so if you're a fire commissioner leading the response to a major fire, having that ICS knowledge would be critical for coordinating with the police, paramedics, everyone else on the scene.
Precisely. It's all about teamwork and coordination in those high-pressure situations.
Now, that's what I call valuable knowledge, especially in a field where lives are literally on the line.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the importance of continuous learning.
So it's not just about those formal certifications.
Right. Whether it's through certifications, attending industry conferences, or even just reading up on the latest research, a good fire commissioner never stops seeking new information and honing their skills.
It sounds like a career path that attracts people who are both brave and intellectually curious,
I agree with that.
always striving to be better.
It takes a special kind of person to run towards danger, but it also takes a sharp mind and a commitment to lifelong learning to lead effectively in such a demanding role. But, even with all that, knowledge alone isn't enough.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What else does RoleCatcher emphasize as being essential for success as a fire commissioner?
Networking.
Networking.
Really? It might seem surprising, but building relationships within the field is crucial.
So we're not just talking about attending those industry conferences for the free coffee and pastries.
No, although those are always a plus.
Yeah.
But seriously, remember those professional organizations I mentioned earlier, like the IAFC?
The International Association of Fire Chiefs. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association.
I do, yeah.
Those organizations provide invaluable opportunities for networking, sharing best practices, and learning from experienced leaders. They also play a vital role in advocating for fire safety standards and legislation.
So it's a way to give back to the profession as a whole.
Exactly. You're not just learning from others, you're contributing to a community of professionals dedicated to public safety.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. And it highlights how being a fire commissioner isn't a solitary job. You're part of a larger network, relying on others and sharing your own knowledge to keep communities safe.
It's about collaboration, communication, and that constant drive to learn and grow.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most challenging aspects of the job that RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from discussing.
I'm really curious now, what is this challenging aspect that RoleCatcher brings up?
Well, we've talked about bravery and leadership, even a bit of psychology.
It feels like we've covered the gamut of firefighting skills today.
Right. But what about resource management?
Okay.
Specifically, how fire commissioners balance the needs of their community with often limited budgets.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Mm.
No leader ever has an unlimited budget.
Right.
But when you're talking about public safety, the stakes are so much higher.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat this challenge.
So how do they address it?
Well, they give this example of a fire commissioner needing to decide between purchasing new breathing apparatuses for their firefighters.
Okay, those are essential.
Yeah, or investing in a community outreach program to prevent fires in the first place.
Wow, that's a tough call.
It is.
Both are crucial for public safety, but in very different ways. How do you even begin to prioritize something like that?
You know, there's no easy answer, and RoleCatcher acknowledges that. It requires careful analysis, community input,
Sure.
and often some tough compromises.
It makes you realize that being a fire commissioner isn't just about fighting fires.
No, it's not.
It's about being a strategic leader who can make those difficult decisions with limited resources.
It's a balancing act, for sure. And it highlights why those skills we discussed earlier, critical thinking, communication, even that understanding of psychology, are so crucial for success in this role.
It's about seeing the big picture,
Absolutely.
understanding the needs of your team and the community,
Yeah.
and advocating for the resources to keep everyone safe. That's a heavy responsibility.
It is, but it's also an incredibly rewarding one.
In what way?
Knowing that your decisions directly impact the safety and well-being of your community, that's a powerful motivator.
It certainly puts things in perspective.
It does.
So for anyone listening who might be considering a career as a fire commissioner, what's the one key takeaway you hope they walk away with from this deep dive?
That this job is about so much more than they probably ever imagined.
I think you're right.
It's about leadership, continuous learning, and a deep commitment to serving your community.
Definitely.
It's challenging, demanding, and at times heartbreaking,
Yeah.
but it's also incredibly rewarding for those who are ready to answer the call.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay, I like it.
Imagine you're now the fire commissioner. You've got those limited resources, a city depending on you, and a fire station full of brave individuals looking to you for guidance. What are your top priorities?
That's the question.
How would you allocate those resources to best serve your community?
It's a question worth pondering, and one that highlights the complexities and importance of leadership in public safety.
Indeed. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of fire commissioners.
Great talking with you.
Thanks for joining us for another fascinating career exploration.
Anytime.
And we'll see you next time for another insightful deep dive.